You know, I didn't get bit by the travel bug in college or anything. Like, I've never known a life without it.
Now is the time.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I am Adil Ismaaeel, and I am your travel guide, or your travel guide, whichever you prefer, and I am on a mission to inspire you to travel. Lo, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. How many countries have you traveled to?
I think I'm at 32. I really stopped counting.
It is self-evident that all men are created equal.
What inspires me to travel? I would say I draw my inspiration for life from traveling, and more so seeing God's natural beauty around the world. And so whether that's landscapes, you know, I'm very much of a landscape country type person versus a city. But I do love being immersed in different cultures and meeting new people. You know, in my experiences, it just really pushed me to become a better person by knowing, you know, how similar we are. Like, if it wasn't for religion, politics, and that's probably the two only things that really separate us. And so just new experiences, it's almost like when I get on an airplane, I know I'm going somewhere, it's like a high that no drug could ever give you. To diminish a lot of stereotypes that people may have about Americans, about Black women, about educated Black women. And I know I've played a role in diminishing a lot of those stereotypes just with the interactions that I've had with a lot of different people around the world. When I go to places like, you know, Cape Town or Iceland, it's like to be able to see these vast and amazing landscapes and know that the same creator created me, that created this place. Yeah. It just it inspires me to be great. Can't Stay Put is a lifestyle brand and creative agency that was ignited by my experiences as an inspirational explorer. And so essentially we create content and products aimed to inspire people to live a Can't Stay Put lifestyle. So this content is aimed to inspire, influence, and educate. And somebody who lives a Can't Stay Put lifestyle is defined by somebody who is making moves every day to follow their dreams, somebody who is intentional about seeing the world, somebody who is working desperately to become the best version of themselves, mind, body, and soul. And so everything that I do kind of focuses on inspiring people to do those things. I started Can't Stay Put in February of 2013. When I first started, it was very much travel focused. And I was very transparent about my journey and realized that more people were actually reaching out to me about how to live the life that they wanted versus actual travel. And so that's when I realized that Can't Stay Put is a lifestyle. It's way bigger than the travel aspect, but because travel is what I do, right, that is kind of how it led me to realize that, you know, this Can't Stay Put lifestyle is bigger than that. I've definitely done my fair share of travel solo. I actually haven't done a lot of group trips. Okay. I don't really err on the group trips just because I think because I'm such a seasoned traveler. But you know, typically now I travel with a photographer, a videographer, you know, somebody on my team just because this is the work that I do. Right. But when I did travel solo, I think the advice I give people was just, you know, the United States is probably not the safest place I've ever been, just to keep it 100, right, you know what I mean? And so if you come from a major city in the U.S., I guarantee you have the common sense required to be able to travel internationally, right? So it's just your senses just have to be heightened. So it's like I tell people, like, and it's funny because the other day, like, I was in this place that I had never been before, and my uncle made this comment. He was like, "You walking like you know where you going." I'm like, because I travel so much, I always walk with a sense of purpose, even if I don't know where I'm going, because that's how you don't get people bothering you, because right, you always, it looks like you're very determined. Right. So I always walk with a sense of purpose anywhere, and I always get that comments like, "You've never been here before, like you act like you've been here like 10 times. And I'm right, like, it's just innate because I've just been to so many countries to where you're not gonna ever catch me like looking dumbfounded.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it kind of puts, like a red dot on you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna ever catch me open up a map outside. Doesn't necessarily mean I know where I'm going, but it's like, okay, if you use maps, look at your map before you leave your Airbnb or your hotel, right? Or if you are somewhere, and just ask versus kind of looking like a tourist. So what I tell people is like, an unfortunate situation can happen anywhere. It can happen outside your house.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And like I said, I've had way more unfortunate situations happen in the U.S. than I've ever had in any country. So, other things like if you're a woman, like, before you start to hang out at night or go out, take the first 2 days when you're in a country to kind of get acclimated to where you're staying, the neighborhood, walking around. It's really just common sense and being confident in who you are. Another part with traveling is like, and what I've found is there are still great people in the world because when you do solo travel or just travel in general, you have to trust people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think society's kind of got us to a place to where it's like, you always looking over your shoulder and you can't trust this person or that. But it's like, you have no choice but to, you're just reminded that there are trustworthy people. I draw most of my inspiration from natural God-made beauty. So I'm much more, I lean on the area of going to more landscape type of like just beautiful destinations, right? Not necessarily like islands or anything, like those are beautiful as well, but like I would say like I went to Iceland maybe 3 years ago, hands down, like visually, like it was like out of this world. Like I had never seen anything like that in my life, and it was, like I majored in biology in college. I always was into science, and so being able to go to a country where I actually learned about the glaciers and learned about the hot springs and learned about, black sand, like, and so to actually go to a destination, like actually see like the water bubbling up and how you learned about the certain temperatures and how the tectonic plates, like it was just like, just amazing. Like I don't think I've ever traveled to a place that just had so much just beauty, waterfalls, like thousands of waterfalls, you know what I mean? So if you're a sucker for scenery like I am and you draw a lot of inspiration from nature, hands down, Iceland for sure. And also Iceland because this kind of ties to the experience. Like at that particular time, I did a campaign which was like the People's Choice, right? Where I actually had my followers pick my destination. And prior to that, like I probably had said Iceland all of one time in my life prior to me actually going, right? And so they voted and they picked Iceland. I was like, and I kind of err on warmer climates, right? So I'm like, Iceland, like what? You know what I mean? Wow. So I was like, you know what, cool, because at that time, this is before Jay, Beyonce, Kim Kardashian. This is before any major stars had went to Iceland, right? And so it was like, you know what? I hadn't really seen any black people do Iceland, especially like do it the way I do Can't Say Put experiences. I was like, this is going to be good because, I don't want people to put African Americans in a box. And so I think I can really creatively tell this story about this place in a way that will really entice people to want to go. So anyway, ended up going, but I actually reached out to a particular, like this major photographer there who ended up being well connected, who ended up like, we did road trips. Like they kind of opened up like the door to like this amazing experience. So it was almost like a destiny type of thing. So it was like, didn't ever want to go to this place. I actually had my followers pick. Then I go, then I link up with this amazing photographer and then had this crazy experience. And a lot of what I experienced was sponsored too. And then beyond that, I ended up getting a full page magazine spread in Sheen magazine. So it was like the whole experience was just like, this is kind of crazy. Like, you know what I mean? And so that was also the trip where it was just like, I really do this. Because I remember when I first landed in Iceland, I met up with the photographer and his wife. I was like, I'm really discussing like my first real international collaboration, like work. I'm like, I do this. You know what I mean? Like, so it was just like a real turning point in my career in terms of building Can't Say Put. So definitely Iceland. The other place, Maui simply because of the experiences that I've had there. This is the place where I prayed to God to reveal to me my purpose, and I promised I'd run 100 miles per hour towards it. This is also the place that revealed to me my purpose to kind of start Can't Say Put. So Maui to me is like this place of transformation in terms of like it changed my life. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that if you were to go, the same thing will happen, but I think I happened to go to this particular place at the right time. The right things happened for me that have changed my life. So Mal will always have this like space in my heart because it was there that really it almost felt like I started my life. Right, you know what I mean? Right. I was born on one day, but then I feel like I started living on another day. You know what I mean? Iceland, Maui, what else would I say? South Africa for sure. But you know, there's just so many great things about all the places I've been to. So it's just like I just don't even want to, like, I can talk about places all day long. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I have a funny story. I don't necessarily know if it is a culture shock, just because, you know, I think the more you travel, and especially if you're traveling deeper, you appreciate different cultures. And, you know, you may do your own homework to kind of figure out what people do in different places. And so it's not necessarily a shock. You're more accepting to kind of just learn. And so when I ever see anything that's not the norm, I may not know, like I'm like a student and I'm just like soaking it all up because I just want to know more about how they do certain things. But a situation where I was just like, yo, what's going on? Like, I remember being I think I was in Cambodia, and I was in a tuk-tuk, and our driver said he knew where my hostel was, but he didn't. But he wanted to take us anywhere because he wanted the money. And so we're driving around. It's like, and I know we were only 15 minutes away from our hostel, but we'd been driving for like 25 minutes. And I'm like, yo, we getting out. Like, you don't know where you're going. Like, you lied. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not just no regular tourist. You're not finna get over on me. Like, this is not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not no typical American traveler. You know what I mean? I've been doing this, right? So I get out. He's speaking Khmer. He don't really understand too much English. And I don't really understand any Khmer either. Get out. And, like, he is pissed because I haven't paid him no money. And I'm just like, I'm not at my destination. I'm not paying you. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, so he's like following us, and then like all these Cambodians from like, you know, these like stands on the street, like, you know, people were selling fruit and different little things, like they're all crowding around us, right? Oh. So I'm like, yo, what's going on? But meanwhile, I was like, I can't even take it seriously because Cambodians are like this tall, right? So I'm still looking down, like I'm just like, you know, like, and I think a part of this is right, like, you know what I mean? And that's another thing about traveling solo is like, and I think just dealing with bullies or anything in general is like, you can't break a sweat. You know what I mean? Because once you break a sweat, then people they feel like they can, you got to stand your ground. So like, they were coming around me like, all of this, and I'm just like, I'm not at my hostel. Right. I'm not paying. So then this one other Cambodian chick rides up on the bike. She was like, you don't want any trouble. Like, you should just pay him the money. I'm like, I'm not paying. It's the principle. I got the money. It's just the principle. I'm not there. Like, you're not about to get over on me. He should have simply said he didn't know where it was and let another driver take us. So this other African guy was just like, he like ended up mediating the whole situation and like ended up paying for me. But I'm just like, you got to stand your ground. Like, after the whole situation was over, I'm just like, yo, Lauren, you're tripping. Like, they could have definitely snatched your little behind up. Like, it was like 20 of them and like one of you. You know what I mean? But that's the thing is like, when you stand your ground, you'll be okay. And the other funny story about which was actually it wasn't necessarily a culture shock, but more of like a what the hell is going on, was like when we physically crossed the border from Thailand to Cambodia. Like, I bus from Bangkok to the border of Cambodia, and then we had to take a taxi from the border to Siem Reap, and we took, it was like a Toyota Camry, like not no real taxi that you see in New York, like, you know, I don't want to call it janky, but you're in another country, so whatever, right? So the driver, me, and my videographer, and the driver speaks no English. We don't speak any Khmer, so we're driving. It's like a 2-hour drive, 2.5-hour drive. So we're driving, maybe been driving for like an hour. Then we stop on the side of the road. I'm like, yo, what's going on, yo? Like, and then it's like 7 people on the side on the road, like 3 adults and like 4 kids. I'm just like, yo, what's happening right now? Like, so they started to come close to the car. They popped the trunk. We like, yo, what is going on, right? And so they start to get in the car, and we're like, yo, like. So the guy he was like, what is going on? Like, we don't even know them. Like, we paid for the taxi for 2 people. So when I tell you, 8 people were sitting in the front of a Toyota Camry.
Stop playing.
I kid you not. Like, it was so crazy to the point I was laughing hysterical because I was just like, you know what? I've already prayed over this trip. Right. So I know nothing is going to go on. But I'm just like, they could have easily just dropped us off and told us to get out the car. You know what I mean? Right. Like, we don't speak any, you know what I mean? Like, there's nobody keeping tabs on us. There's nobody that knows that we're crossing the border right now. Right. You know what I mean? But come to find out, what happens is these taxis, they do pick up people on the way because the trip has already been paid. Like, we paid for the trip already. So they may pick up friends and family on the way because they've already covered gas expenses because I paid for it. And that's just a part of it. And you just got to deal with it. That's just a part of, what it is. But at the time, I was just like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I had never seen that many people, like, fit. And I have this on a video, like, it's on my YouTube, where, like, it's literally, like, 3 people in the driver's seat, like, another 3 of people here, like, and it's just crazy. Me and my friend in the back. When I visit places like Iceland or Cape Town and see these vast, amazing landscapes, and just to know that the same creator of those landscapes created me, it kind of just gives me that extra, like, to be like, okay, I have no choice but to be great. Like, this is grand and this is greatness, and the same creator created me. And so a little piece of what I see is in me as well. You know what I mean? And so I need to constantly be, see those things and be around those things to just kind of remind me, like, what I'm doing is bigger than me. And I, whatever crazy dreams I have are definitely attainable. For me to quit my job and to pray to God and ask him for my purpose, and for him to reveal to me my purpose, and then for him to carry me these last 4 years, where there have been times when I have anything. There's times I've been homeless. There's been times I've been in other countries with, like, no money. I've just been in so many situations where it's been nothing but him that has carried me. And there's just no way that they don't intertwine. When you travel, especially if you do a lot of solo travel, I think when you get very, very still and very, very quiet, that's when you're able to hear him. You know what I mean? And I think when you're in a new environment or new country, I think you're hearing, like, he's even more clear.
Absolutely.
Because it's taking you out of your comfort zone, and you're like, you have to just really take it in.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's just no way travel and spirituality can't really be, conjoined. Of course, I go a lot of places and I party, all that kind of stuff, not approved. You know what I mean? But, I think that there's a lot of, at least for me, there's a deeper level to what I do. Like, I know when I went to India, like, India is a very spiritual place, and I understand, of course, on the beginning, I was like, okay, everybody says India is a spiritual place, and then I was like, yeah, India is a very spiritual place, and, I kind of felt it, and, felt like my purpose was more revealed while I was there. So, yeah, like, I'm not here to apologize for my beliefs or to kind of, like, dim God's light, because he is the reason why I am where I am. Put experiences versus, like, low just traveling somewhere is two totally different things, right? So, like, when I do Kansas Put experiences, like, I got an itinerary, got people I link with, I've already kind of connected with the movers and shakers in particular countries. But if it's just me, like, I get off that plane and be like, all right, what's up? I'm here. Let's get it going. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of times, like, it does worry my parents, because it's just like, you don't know where you're staying, like, you've never been here before, and I'm just like, no, like, I figure it out, like, and it's just so innate now that it's just like, okay, I don't speak not one other language, okay, but smile. Nonverbal communication gets me everywhere I need to go. Right. So, yeah. In terms of people who are starting this journey or kind of weary or, like, on the fence of, like, to want to get out there, I would just say, like, it's just extremely important to see the world. And if you are, on social media, watch the news, like, the world is getting very, very smaller in terms of connectivity, right? So if you want to be able to play a major role just in the world, like, you have to be a global citizen. There's just no way to really fully interact in society without having these other experiences. And then another thing is, like, travel opens doors. I will definitely say that there have been so many conversations I would not have been included in had I not dropped that I have been to so many places. Travel is just so important to just learning about yourself and learning about the world. And, I think it makes you more appreciative of where you come from and just learning about humankind and, understanding how we're similar and how we're different and just appreciating the differences between people, but also appreciating how similar we are alike. And I just feel like everybody should make a point to travel. And the other thing is, don't beat yourself up if you're not able to go to Australia or to New Zealand or, all these, vast places. Like, go to the next state over. Go to another city. Like, get over that bridge. Like, there's so much to see within the United States. So, like, don't make yourself feel bad because you can't do what you may see this person doing who may be in Dubai this week, in Morocco the next week, and that's great. I'm not trying to knock them, but don't feel small because you're not able to start there. You know what I mean? Like, you'll get there. And the other thing is, if you are intentional about seeing the world, you will see it. So like, until you start to map it out, it doesn't become real. So it's like, once you know that a ticket may cost you $350, then you know I need to save $350. Once you know that my accommodations cost this, I need to save this much, and it becomes way more real. But if you kind of stay in this mind frame that traveling is too expensive, you won't ever get there. And please believe, I've been to places out of the country that are cheaper than going to Miami or to Vegas or to LA. You know what I mean? And so you just have to be very intentional, and just saying you want to go but not doing the work, that's not enough.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I have a saying that I came up with: the idea that travel is expensive is more expensive than travel itself.
Yeah,
right.
It is, because it will keep you limited and keep you paralyzed. Other thing about travel is, like, there's a difference between traveling and vacationing. And I always tell people this as well. It's like, vacationing is a lot more expensive. Like, this is because, you may have been working all year. You need to relax. You want to stay at a resort. You want to be on the beach. And that's expensive. But traveling is not expensive because you're not going to lay up all day. You're not going to, be eating at the finest restaurants. You're not going to stay at the resort. Like, you're going to spend more time outside of where you're staying than where you're staying. So why pay for a resort? You may pay for, I've stayed in hostels, I've stayed in Airbnb. So it's like, when I travel, what I'm spending is way less than what a vacation would be. And I think, we have to be comfortable making that designation that travel is this and vacation is this, and understanding that travel is so beneficial to you. And I'm not saying that vacationing is not good, but we're understanding that there's a difference, and there's also a cost difference. You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with vacationing if you are deserving. Everybody deserves to be able to lay back, enjoy the fruits of your labor. But at the same time, if you're just focusing on a vacation that may cost you $5,000-$10,000, you may only go on a vacation once every 5 to 10 years. Right. But if you realize that travel to a place may cost you $800, you may travel a lot more often because you realize there's a difference between the two. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And understanding what your preference is.
Right.
Are you willing to go through that type of travel experience?
Exactly. And that's another thing. It's like your level of comfort also is directly related to the cost associated with you traveling. So for instance, when I traveled to London, like, I had never been to London before, but I used public transportation. I flew into London. I think I landed like at 10 p.m. at night. Never rode the tube before, got on the tube and made it work. I think the tube cost me, I think it was like $8 to get to where I was going. A taxi would have cost me like $80. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's a comfort level.
Right.
So if you're somebody who's just like, I don't want to do public transportation, then you're gonna pay for that. You know what I mean? But if you're willing to step outside your comfort zone, you'll save a whole lot of money.